Hello friends, it's Lisa and welcome to a new video. So today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I feel like that title never comes out of my mouth correctly, but we're doing the mid-year book freakout tag and I'm really excited. So this is a very popular tag video that kind of goes around this time of year where we kind of reflect on what we've read so far this year in the first half of the year, what we've loved, what we haven't loved, and it's just a really fun tag to do and so many people do it, so it's just always fun to see these tags fill up your subscription feed around this time of year. But yeah, I'm super excited to be doing this video today. But first, before we get into the video, I wanted to take a quick moment to thank today's sponsor, which is Ana Luisa. So Ana Luisa is a jewelry brand that sells luxury items, but for a very reasonable price. They have things starting at just $39, which is very great, and it kind of goes up from there. And they don't do any markups like a lot of other luxury brands, so they have great pieces, but for a very reasonable price. They also are carbon neutral, which is something I wanted to make sure to mention because I think that that is so great. Basically, anything that they put out by creating their jewelry or shipping their jewelry, anything to do with their company, anything that they may put out, they also give back. So they are completely carbon neutral, which I think is so great. So I did get a couple of pieces and I wanted to show you guys what they are. So the first piece that I wanted to show you is the Forget-Me-Not necklace. It is this gold necklace that has this little pendant on it and it has a hand holding flowers, which I think is such a beautiful detail. It feels very dainty and very me, and I saw it and I've been eyeing this necklace for a while actually. I just think it's so beautiful, so I'm super happy with this. I also have the Elise earrings, which are stunning. There are these gold hoops with these kind of teardrop shaped gems dangling down, and I just think they're so stunning. And I put these pieces on as soon as I got them in the mail, and it might sound a bit dramatic, but I just felt so beautiful when I put them on. And I don't know if that's just because I'm used to like Forever 21 jewelry that breaks after you wear it twice, but these are just so high quality, so nice, and just made me feel so beautiful the second I put them on and every time I put them on. So if you are interested in treating yourself to some beautiful high quality jewelry, they have something on their website for everyone. There's so many different types of styles of jewelry on there, so I think you'll find something that suits your taste. They are having a summer sale currently, but I also have a coupon code to share with you guys. So if you use my discount code, which is WithLove10, that will give you 10% off your order at checkout, or you can just click the link in the description of this video. It will take you directly to their website, and anything you add to the cart will automatically have my discount code applied, so you'll automatically get the 10% off. But yeah, I'm just super happy with these pieces, so thank you to Ana Luisa for sending me these and sponsoring this video. But let's just get into the actual tag. So we all know how it works around here. Multiple questions have multiple answers because I can't make decisions and I can't just choose one book, so bear with me. So the first question for this tag is the best book you've read so far this year, and of course I have multiple options. So first I wanted to mention Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. This is sort of a prequel to The Hate U Give. We are following the main character from The Hate U Give's father, Maverick, in this book, so we're seeing him as a teenager and kind of have to deal with certain things that he's going through at this time, and I was so excited for this book. I love The Hate U Give and I love Angie Thomas's writing, so I was super excited about this and it did not disappoint at all. Another book that I loved that kind of surprised me was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I just wasn't expecting much from this book. I just didn't know if it would be something that I'm into. I don't really read a ton of mystery and thriller books, so I wasn't really sure how I'd feel about it, but I loved this book. It is, like I said, a kind of murder mystery type of thing. There was something that happened in this town a few years back, and our main character Pip is trying to figure out exactly what happened because it kind of just seemed like the police kind of tied a bow on it a little too early and figured it out, but they didn't actually figure it out. So she's kind of trying to go back and figure out what actually happened, and it's just so fun. And I just felt like every time I thought I knew, I didn't, and things just kept spiraling and keep going, like adding to the plot and everything. Like it just never ended. Once you think the book was over, you got the final reveal. No, you don't. You just keep getting more. So I just thought this was a lot of fun. And another book that I kind of have to mention, and it's for a secret TBR video, so you're kind of getting a little spoiler for that secret TBR video, but I have to mention Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This book was fantastic, so keep an eye out for that vlog. Hopefully it'll be coming soon. fingers crossed. The next question is the best sequel you've read so far this year, and of course I had to go with Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. This is the sequel to Chain of Gold. This is the second book in the Lost Hours trilogy, and I loved this so much. So I loved Chain of Gold a lot. I know some people kind of like really love it or were a little disappointed by it, but I love Chain of Gold, but I thought this was even better. I just loved getting to see these characters and the kind of characters and the relationships and everything develop a little bit more. I clearly enjoyed it. There's quite a lot of tabs in this book. I just was feeling all of the things reading this book, as I often am with Shadowhunter books. The books within the Shadowhunter world are always just so fun for me, and I just truly have such a good time reading them. So yeah, I think this was the best sequel that I've read so far this year. I'm also really bad at continuing on with series, so that's probably why this really had no competition, but also it is the winner. The next question is a new release you haven't read yet but you really want to, and there are a ton of new releases that have come out this year that I haven't had a chance to get to yet, but there is one that is the most important and the one that I am so excited to read, and that is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I feel like for someone who hasn't read this book yet, I've talked a lot about it. I feel like every video I have filmed since this book has been released, even before this book was released, I've talked about it, and I'm still talking about it because I haven't read it yet. So hopefully I can read this book soon. This was probably one of my most anticipated books of the whole year, and I have loved other books by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is literally one of my favorite books of all time, so I need to read this. I have a feeling I'm going to love it, so this is definitely like #1 priority of new releases to be read for me. The next question is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Now, not to be that person that plugs their own videos in their videos, but I did do a whole video talking about my most anticipated releases for the second half of the year, so if you're looking for more options, I will have that video linked below. But there are two that I specifically want to mention because they're probably like my most top of the list anticipated releases for the second half of the year. So the first one is Gilded by Marissa Meyer. This is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, and that's all I know about it, honestly. I feel like I just am like, it's Marissa Meyer, it has her name on it, she wrote it, so I'm buying it. And the fact that it is a retelling in this fantasy setting, that's like so up her alley and what she is so good at, so I'm super excited for that one. I also want to mention A Psalm of Storms and Silence by Roseanne A. Brown. This is the sequel to A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, which I read last year and absolutely loved. I thought it was so good and such a strong fantasy debut, and I still think about that book all the time. I need to reread it, but the sequel I imagine is going to be just as good. And where A Song of Wraiths and Ruin ended, I'm like, I just need to know what's gonna happen next. The ending of that book is wild, so I'm super excited for that one as well. Alright, the next question is biggest disappointment of the year so far, and I feel like everyone's gonna know what I'm gonna say, and that is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. I definitely am in the unpopular opinion of this. I feel like everyone is loving this book. I think if you are like a hardcore Grishaverse fan, you're gonna enjoy this. I think I've just finally accepted that I'm not that type of person. And I feel like I always know that. Like when I'm not reading the books, I'm like, yeah, I don't really like the Grishaverse as much as everyone else, but like love that for everyone else. But then I read a new book, like a new book gets released and I get so excited and I just join in on the hype, and then I end up being disappointed. So I'm truly just clowning myself at this point. But yeah, I just found this book to be a little disappointing, a little just strange, so many things I just didn't understand or just personally did not work for me. So I found this book pretty disappointing, but I mean, Nikolai was in it, so there was a silver lining. I also have another book that I want to mention, so it's not so obvious if you were expecting Rule of Wolves. I have another book that I want to mention. I gave it 4 stars, which obviously isn't bad, but I was expecting it to be 5 stars. I was expecting it to be 100 stars. I was expecting it to be a new favorite of all time and to be obsessed with it, and I'm just not. And that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And filming this video and thinking about how disappointed I was in this, I am thinking of maybe lowering my rating to a 3-star. I think part of it is because I have not thought about this book since I finished it, and granted I only read it at the beginning of June, so it hasn't been that long, but normally I think about books for a little bit longer. Unless they weren't something that I necessarily loved, they don't necessarily leave my brain the second I finish them, but I finished this book and have not thought about it since. And so I don't know. This book just was a bit disappointing for me. I just did not love it like everyone else, unfortunately. So yeah, this might be lowered to a 3-star. I just found this very disappointing because I wanted to make this my entire personality. It is so hot when I'm filming this. I hope you know that I'm not glowing because of the makeup or anything. It's sweat. The next question is a bit more of a positive one, and that is the biggest surprise so far this year. And I have to go with Dial A for Aunties. I might mention this a few more times in this video because I was just so surprised by this book. I didn't know what to expect and I ended up loving it. So this is about a girl whose mom sets her up on this blind date, and somehow, through certain circumstances, they may or may not have ended up killing him. And then they end up maybe accidentally sending his corpse to the wedding that they are working the next day. So they're trying to work this wedding where so many other things are going wrong with the wedding while also trying to get rid of a corpse. So it's kind of a wild ride. It was so much fun. I just didn't expect like all of these things to work because it's like a comedy, but also like there's a dead body and a wedding, and there's also a romance involved. There's just so many things involved in this book, and I was just not sure about how it was going to all come together and work out, but somehow it works, and it was so much fun. And it definitely was a surprise because I put it on my anticipated releases list, but I didn't know much about it and the author and everything. I've never read from this author before, so I was like, I don't know what I'm getting into. It sounds like a wild concept. I don't know how this is gonna go, but I ended up loving it. I truly think this book is so much fun and just a great time. So if you haven't read it yet, I would highly recommend. The next question is your favorite new author. So it can either be a debut author or a new to you author. And that's kind of what I'm going with, a new to me author. And I'm gonna go with Talia Hibbert, who wrote Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I also read her other book, The Princess Trap, and I'm just loving them. I think they were just so much fun. I feel like I've kind of gotten a little bit into romance this year. Not by much. I definitely have more of an interest in reading more from that genre and getting a little bit more into it, and Get a Life, Chloe Brown was kind of the first one that I've really read, and it was so good. I know that this is a trilogy following the other Brown sisters, and I need to read them. I need to own them and read them because I loved this one so much, and I feel like everyone likes the second and third ones even more. So yeah, Talia Hibbert, definitely one of my new favorite authors, and I'm excited to read more from her, more of her backlisted titles as well. I'm just loving her writing, loving romance, so yeah, definitely Talia Hibbert. The next question is newest fictional crush, and this has truly bamboozled me. I really don't know what to do for this because I feel like some of them are people that I've had crushes on before. They just got to like maybe a new all-time high this year. So the first one I want to mention is Matthew Fairchild from the Last Hours trilogy from Chain of Iron. I mean, I've always loved Matthew. I think he's such a interesting character and I just want to protect him. But I feel like with Chain of Iron, I just kind of loved him even more. So definitely Matthew as well, but that's not technically new. And then I was also thinking Cassian from A Court of Silver Flames because I've always liked Cassian, but I feel like this book really like solidified my love for Cassian. But again, not really a new fictional crush. So a kind of fictional crush, I guess, that I would have that is new to me this year would maybe be Henry from The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Even though, like I said, I was disappointed by this book, I did really love Henry. I think he was the most interesting character in this book, which you're reading a book about a girl who's been alive for 300 years, and the guy who's been alive for like 20-something's more interesting. It's a little concerning. But anyway, this is not an Addie LaRue rant review. Anyway, Henry I just found to be the most interesting character. I found him to be really complex in the sense that he was not this perfect person. He made a lot of mistakes. He did things that I didn't agree with, but he still, you could tell he was a good person and you were rooting for him, and I don't know. I just really liked Henry, so I guess he would kind of count for this question. The next question is newest favorite character. So again, don't really feel like there were a ton of characters this year that I've been like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with you, you're my new favorite thing. I definitely feel like there's been a lot of great characters that I've read about this year, but none that I've been like really obsessed with. But I did want to mention Bree from Legendborn. I loved Brie. I loved reading about what was going on in that book through her perspective, and also just seeing how she dealt with the grief from losing her mom and her discovering the Legendborn, and just her as a person. I just found her to be such an interesting character, and I honestly don't know if I would have liked Legendborn as much if I wasn't following her. I just really loved her character, so I guess Brie would count for this question. But yeah, not a whole lot of characters that I've been like, wow, I would risk my life for you, you know? Hopefully the second half of the year will change that. The next question is a book that made you cry. So I tend to get a little misty-eyed, a little teary-eyed very easily with books, so I decided to go with the book that made me like full-on sob, and I think it's the only book that's made me full-on sob this year, and that is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. So this is a World War II historical fiction, and we're following two sisters, and we're seeing kind of how they are dealing with this war and how they choose to fight back in their own ways, and it's just very emotional. The last like 50 or so pages, I started crying and I just couldn't stop. It's one of those things where something sad happens, so then I'm sobbing, and I just kept reading, so then every little thing was triggering even more tears. I just couldn't stop crying, and by the end of the book, I was a mess. But I'm really happy I read this book this year. I've been wanting to read it for a while, so I'm happy I finally read it, but yeah, it's a bit emotional. It kind of hurt my feelings a lot. So the next question is a book that made you happy, and I love this question. Again, wanted to mention Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Sutanto because this book was so fun. It was one that I found that I was actually laughing out loud while reading, and I was also very stressed. Like, I was actually gasping out loud as well. Like, I just had such a good time reading this book, and you wouldn't think reading about someone like being killed and like them trying to hide a corpse would be as fun as it was, but it worked. But other than Dial A for Aunties, I did want to mention a couple other things as well. So they're both graphic novels, and the first one is The Tea Dragon Society by Kay O'Neill. This is the cutest, most wholesome thing I think I've ever read. It's just so cute. Like, there is definitely a plot going on in this book, but it's not, you know, it's not very intense. It's mostly just so cute and wholesome, and these tea dragons who brew tea, and if you drink the tea, you'll see the memories of their owners and things like that. So it's just really cute. The art style is stunning. I feel like I show the art style every time I talk about this book, but it's just so cute, and I just had such a good time reading this book. Like, I had a smile on my face the whole time, and I wanted to cry from like happiness reading this book. So yeah, definitely this one. And I also wanted to mention Heartstopper Volume 2 by Alice Oseman. I've read this for the first time this year, and I now have Volume 3 waiting for me to be read, and I'm super excited. This is following Nick and Charlie, who are just the cutest. They're just so cute, and it's just, I'm just gonna say it's just cute over and over and over again. I just loved it so much. This is also just very wholesome and precious, and I love Nick and Charlie so much, and so I'm excited to continue on with the other volumes because this is like free serotonin right here. It's getting very warm in my room, so we're gonna rapid fire the last two questions. So the next question is the most beautiful book you've bought or received this year, and of course, I have multiple. First, Chain of Iron. I happen to love this cover. I know it's not everyone's favorite thing, but I think it's beautiful. So this one, also Rule of Wolves, is stunning as well. I love the cover of both Rule of Wolves and King of Scars. And also under the dust jacket, it's also stunning. So just overall a very stunning book. I also wanted to mention The Descent of the Drowned because one, this cover is beautiful with the heart and the snake. I just love the colors as well, but I also wanted to mention this book in this video at some point because I did really enjoy this book. I just need more people to read this book, so thank you. Go and read it right now. And the last beautiful book I'm going to point out is Priory of the Orange Tree. I just find this cover so stunning. I love the colors. Hopefully it's as beautiful on the inside as it is on the outside, but yeah, lots of beautiful covers. I feel like covers now are just so stunning. So many covers that I see now I'm just obsessed with. So lots of covers I could have talked about, but I narrowed it down to those four. And then the final question is, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? And it's funny, the first line of my notes for this tag, I just wrote ha 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 ha, because there's so many books that I need to read before the end of the year. I did multiple like TBR videos at the beginning of the year, and I'm slacking on all of them. So basically any books from that list that I made, but I will talk about a few that are definitely like high priority. So first and foremost, once again, The Last Magician. I put it on my July TBR. I'm reading it for the Buzzwordathon. It's actually happening this time, but I've had this book on my TBR for so long, and I've put it on so many TBRs for different things, readathons, monthly TBRs, so I need to read this. I can't go into a new year without having read this yet. I also really want to get to The Poppy War this year, which I did also put this on my July TBR for the Olympic Games readathon, so I think I'm going to be getting to this sooner rather than later, but definitely one I need to get to before the end of the year. I also really want to read Little Woman. Again, put it on my July TBR, so this one, not so sure I'm going to get to in July, but I'm going to hope it happens. If not in July, it needs to happen before the end of the year. And then the final two books, I have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is a book that has been on my TBR for a very long time, and now that I own it, I need to actually pick it up. And then the final book that I really want to get to before the end of the year is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I've read The Hate U Give, I've read Concrete Rose. I need to read this. I've heard such good things, and like I said earlier, I love Angie Thomas's writing, so I know I'm gonna love it. I can't, again, go into a new year without having read this. But that was the final question, so that is going to be it for this tag. Definitely let me know any of your answers to any of these questions, maybe like your favorite book that you've read this year, one you're looking forward to for the rest of the year. I would love to know and get some new recommendations. And thank you again to Ana Luisa for sponsoring this video. Don't forget, you guys can check out the link in the description of this video and use my discount code if you want to treat yourself or someone in your family to some high quality jewelry. But I think that is going to be it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, we're done filming. I can turn my fan back on. It is so hot.